Welcome to the Corn Mafia Guild Twitter space. I'm your host, Stein.
And I'm your co-host, Fryler. Thank you for joining us today. The show will begin momentarily.
My name is Stein. Welcome to the Corn Mafia Guild Twitter space. I'm here with my co-host, Fryler. Say hey, Fryler.
Good morning, Stein. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm really excited about today's Twitter space. Today's Twitter space is going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to get pretty hot, but we'll see how it goes.
I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. You know, basically we're going to
be especially after that beautiful disclaimer.
Well, I'm gonna play the disclaimer. I'm gonna play the disclaimer before we start the show because we want to make sure that people know what we're talking about and what we shouldn't talk about today because you know this space is about the OG role in Cornucopias and we don't want to step on any toes. We don't want to step on any toes because we love Cornucopias and what they stand for. So before we pull up our guests or speakers, whoever decides that they want to speak up, and we're going to try to pull you up, and we're going to talk about what the OG role is about and how to get it. Basically, it's a paradox. You can't ask to be in the OGs. I put that through ChatGPT, you know. Is this a paradox? And it said, yes, it is a paradox. You can't become an OG if you can't ask to become an OG. But that's
I disagree with ChatGPT on that, but I guess we'll get into that as we go.
Well, he's an AI. He doesn't have any feelings, so you can say whatever you want about him. So
he's just mad because he's not in the old guard.
Oh, I know. It's a beautiful place to be, though, I think. I think it is.
Well, yeah, it does come with a lot of incentives and perks, and I think that's what attributes to why I think it might be a little bit of a hot button issue. Because of course, everyone wants to become a member of the old guard when you can get a free mint every year and you get priority minting in the tiers. So there's a lot of good that comes with it, but of course, it takes a lot of work and dedication too. So not everyone can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we are starting to get a few people in here, so I think we should start the conversation. But before we start, I'm going to play this disclaimer so everybody knows, because this is going to be recorded, and or we are recording it now. But if the Corn Mafia, that's us. But if the Cornucopias Guild leadership listens to this, I want them to understand what we're talking about and whatnot. So this disclaimer is it's going to be pretty good. So
disclaiming the disclaimer, play it.
Yeah, I'm going to play the disclaimer. The disclaimer was a little bit couple lines, and I didn't want to read it out myself. So I had an AI read it out for me. She has a beautiful voice. So okay, I'm going to play the disclaimer, and then after that we can start a discussion. Okay, here we go.
Disclaimer, Stein and Fryler are both Cornucopias OGs. In this discussion, they do not represent the Cornucopias team that assigns the OG roles. A reminder to any OG role holders that any confidential information pertaining to the OG private channels should remain so and not discussed in this space. Please refrain from referencing other OGs by name for use as an example when discussing this topic. Focus on your own OG promotion or lack thereof. We acknowledge the advantages and disadvantages of the OG role requirements, and this space has been provided to facilitate constructive dialogue. This forum does not reflect the official opinion of the Corn Mafia Guild. Rather, it serves as a platform for members to express their individual perspectives and opinions.
Okay. that should protect us a little bit. That should protect us a little bit, because we don't want this to reflect on the Corn Mafia Guild because it's my opinions and your opinions. So it's not the direct opinions of the guild as a whole, I should say. So.
Absolutely. Well, and I wanted it to be apparent why the space was being held as well. Obviously, there's been discussions held throughout the different servers regarding the OG role. So I didn't want to seem like we're here trying to set new rules, or that we're here to try and sway Cornucopias to do anything different. It's just a community discussion, since everyone seemed to be very interested in the topic, to talk about the different parameters around it. I know some people feel like it's very Discord centric and they have a hard time getting noticed for the work they do off Discord. I feel like that's definitely one of the concerns that people have. And I'm sure there's plenty of other ones, but go ahead and take it away, Stein.
Yeah, that's yeah. You said it well there, my friend. You said it well there. We do have other guilds here today too. We do like always. We have the Knights Guild. We have Moody here today, so we're going to invite them to talk here in a little bit. I don't know if everyone has read the OG roles or how to become an OG and things like that in Cornucopias Discord, but I think it'd be prudent if we had it read off before we start the show, just like the disclaimer, and it's just getting our boundaries and getting set for the show. So I decided to lighten the mood up a little bit with this one. I actually had a voiceover artist give me a little hand with the reading of the OG roles. So I'm going to play that for you now. And then right after this, we can start our discussion, and then we'll have our first guest talk after I speak my mind a little bit. How's that sound, Freiler? Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good.
Okay, so here we go, guys. We're going to have a little fun. We're having somebody read the OG roles for us. Nope, that's not the right one. Here it is.
What is the OG role? OG stands for Old Guard. This is a role that is awarded to members of the community that have shown their support through helping others, being respectful and kind, and have genuine conversations in chat with fellow community members. The OGs will grow in proportion to our overall community, so it is considered open. OGs are our first responders when we are looking to test anything internally or need support on heavy traffic days. Don't do these things if you want to become an OG. Spam chat. Provide inaccurate information. Badmouth the project or team members. Ask to become OG. Back to you, Stein.
Thank you, Christopher Walken. I really appreciate that.
Man, we got some high rollers in the corn these days.
Yeah, that was a little fun. I don't know. We're just trying to cheer the space up today because I feel like it's going to be on fire. Okay. So my take on the OG role is I personally found that I wanted to become an OG, but I didn't. I wanted to work in our guild, and I found it was very hard for me to move up through the ranks in our guild and spend time trying to become an OG in the Cornucopias Discord server. So I made it a personal thing for me to just work and promote the Cornucopias game through artwork, through Twitter, through any means that I had necessary, by talking with people, talking in our guild, to become an OG. And it did take me a little bit longer to be recognized. I will say that. Some people moved up to OG before me, but I did not back down from my original way of thinking. And I eventually became OG. And I didn't do it by necessarily working in the Cornucopias Discord. And I think this is a problem. I guess it's a problem because, you know, when you read the, as Christopher Walken said, when you read the roles, it's to help community members and things like that. But I think it needs to be broadened a little bit because we do help community members. We send people to CNFT Con to promote Cornucopias. We run Twitter Spaces. We have people doing YouTube. We have a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and they might take up a little bit more time than they would like because a lot of people have lives. I myself just live to do this right now, so it was very, very difficult for me to get into there and to talk and help other people. But it did work over the long run. So I think that's one of the problems is how do we get recognized to become OG if we're not in the Cornucopias Discord promoting the OG, trying to get OG role. So.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I mean, I think you're a good example of the road less traveled and being able to earn that OG role through other avenues. I agree that I think that's one area that maybe could use exposure or improvement is how is the team going to be aware of people doing things on other platforms? You know, like you said, putting in the work on Twitter or YouTube. It's kind of harder to get noticed if you're not in the Discord daily. So I think, of course, we got to think about what is the intent of the old guard. And as Christopher Walken said, it's that first line of defense. So, you know, I'll just say it real quick. I see a lot of people who complain about not being OG, and few of them, in my mind, really deserve the title and have a good basis. A lot of people feel just holding the project for a long time or having a large holding is enough to earn OG, which this may be a controversial take of mine, but I don't believe so. I believe the intent is to have you there active in the community, serving, you know, in a way as a member of the old guard. I don't think you should be able to just sit back and rest on your laurels. Now, I think another point that people are going to bring up is the people who earned it just for being early, should they keep it even without being active? That I would almost be inclined to leave that in those people's hands, make them like a different class of OG and not take it from them. But I believe moving forward that it would be best to only promote people who are really putting in the effort and who stay consistent with it. And at that point, you know, if you got it and you weren't active for a year, maybe you do lose your OG status. So, yeah, I agree that we could definitely probably improve in looking in other areas besides Discord. But at the same time, if it's really important to you, I think you should make time for Discord. I see people say all the time, well, I just don't have time to be in there. And to that, I'd say, you know, to each their own. I don't know how busy you are, but last year I started my own company and a YouTube channel, and I still made OG because it was important to me. I made the time. If I had 5 minutes, I was in the chat. And I don't expect everyone to do that, but I do kind of refute the I don't have time argument because you make time for the things that are important. Scruffy, you've had your hand up for forever. I'd love to hear from you.
Can I say one thing before you come up, Scruff? Just one thing.
By all means.
I'm sorry.
It's your show, baby.
I wanted to get in there and just say one thing. Now, I know that we're basically this whole thing is on Discord. Obviously, this is how we all talk, and it is on Discord. And I'm not sure. Myself, I was on Discord, and I always promoted it whenever they had a Twitter raid come up. I would help with the Twitter raids. I would like and follow other people's projects and all this thing. So, needless to say, you do have to be on Discord. But I did not post or help try to moderate Discord. So I want to let people know that I am on Discord and I do check in with the Cornucopias Discord. So I just wanted to let everybody know that at least I think you have to be OG. You have to at least acknowledge or check in with the Cornucopias Discord. I don't think you should be given OG role and not have anything to do with Cornucopias at all. I just want to set that straight. So go ahead, Scruff.
Well, I just wanted to make a few quick points. You and I both came into the guild roughly the same time, plus or minus less than a week.
Yes, sir.
And like you said, we both kind of did it a smidge differently, but we were kind of both in the same boat. I was starting doing YouTube stuff, and you were a little more contributing in the Mafia side. Both not necessarily Corn general, channels. And when you and I came in, I think it was definitely very, very difficult to get noticed outside of just posting in the general Discord in the various Cornucopias Discord channels. What's interesting is I've seen through various sources that's starting to change a little bit. Several people that are doing things outside of just the official Discord server, like guild servers, like Twitter, like YouTube, are being noticed. That is changing, and we have to remember, change takes time, right? But they are aware of that. They know they've seen that. There have been people in discussions for OG behind the scenes that maybe some of the feedback was, well, they don't have enough posts. And when you and I came in, it was looking at number of posts, it was looking at quality, how much are they helping people, things like that. But several people made the argument that you can help people on other platforms. You can help spread the word on other platforms. And that is changing. Is it where it needs to be? I don't know. Again, I'm not necessarily in that discussion, but also other mechanisms. And I'm not going to go into any details because, again, what happens in OG stays in OG. But other mechanisms have been put in place to help alleviate that issue. I'll turn my mic off for a second and let everybody feel free to chime in on that.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment, Scruffy. I think that the team is definitely aware of the people that are working in these other avenues, and I think they definitely want to reward them. It's just, I don't think there's a full-time gig at the Cornucopias team who's looking for these people, you know what I mean? Like, my whole deal was I tried to make it easy. There's a few tenements or a few things that you could do, like not changing your PFP and your name a whole bunch and stuff, and I tried to do all those things so that the team could more easily notice the effort that I was putting in. So that might be a good tip for those of you out there who are still working towards it.
Yeah.
Real quick, I also wanted to just come back to something you said before, and I apologize because I forgot. But talking about making time for it, I did the exact same thing, like you. If I had 5 minutes in the morning, whatever. If I had 10 minutes waiting for the doctor, I would make it a point to hop in there, try to help somebody out, join the discussion, just say hello, talk about anything and everything. And that's really when I did start to get noticed. So to your point, if people are looking on ways to become an OG that aren't already, I think that's a great tip.
Yeah, I think even just 5-10 minutes a day, if you're consistent, you don't think that that's going to have a huge impact. I think it will. You will be noticed. There's 30 of us that are active daily in that Discord, despite there being 30,000 members. You can definitely find a way to help out, and you're still early. So, Moody, did you have something that you wanted to add? I know you've been up here for a minute. I didn't mean to skip over you with Scruffy. He kind of had come up and come down. So,
no, I just requested to speak because I knew at some point in this space I would request to speak, so I got it out of the way early. First of all, I'm going to borrow your disclaimer. I think that was really good, by the way, and I agree with everything in your disclaimer. I'm obviously in the Knights leadership team. I'm representing my own view, not the Knights, etc., etc. So if you don't mind, Stein, can I sign the bottom of your disclaimer?
Yeah, man,
please?
it's all signed, man. You're right here on the space. It's all for
Your
anybody
paw
who's
prints
here.
right there.
Right, yeah, right. It's
Thank
the disclaimers
you
for the
very
whole
much.
space today, whether you're with a Knights or whatever guild you're with.
Very
Don, do you
kind.
have to run that by walking?
No, I don't. I don't. It would cost me
Okay,
too
just
much, man. It would cost me too much.
Okay. All right.
You're talking my boy all wrong.
Yeah.
I've got loads of views on this, absolutely loads of views on this, and this is my own personal views, okay? But I do want to actually be quite open and honest. So I won OG. It was the first round of the Gloom or some kind of competition that was really, really early, and I won the OG. I was selected one out of the first 5, okay? So the reason I'm saying that is, and again, I always say things truthfully and honestly, I was putting in a level of effort to try and get OG. I joined the server a bit later than a lot. I had followed Cornucopias from the start. I mean, I remember the first round of Catalyst. But my point I'm trying to make is, okay, so I won OG. So being honest, if I wouldn't have won that OG status, would I have put the level of effort that was required in the early days? Because if you looked at the balance between OG members and non-OG members, I think you needed to put in a lot more effort in the early days to get seen. So I asked myself a few questions. Would I have put in a level of effort, and would my persistence, would it have got me in the end? I think it probably would have, to be honest. But let's just say it didn't. Let's just say I had a child. My partner was in labour, and actually it took me away for a few months to go and do the right thing and bring a babe into the world. Let's just give that as an example. Then I would have lost interest. Things would have overtaken. Blah blah blah. Priorities would have changed, and I probably wouldn't have got OG. I'd like to think I would have eventually. But my point I'm saying is, I won OG. I was lucky enough to win OG, which removed the level of effort. Since I was made an OG, I have, I have contributed so much to the Cornucopia space, to the Knights Guild and the Core Mafia Guild indirectly, I hope. But so my question is, does this process, are we restricting people who have got a lot to give because of the process to be recognized? Now, there's a lot of people out there who are very different personalities. They're maybe English isn't probably their first language. They may, I just think this process, without a level of application and without a level of clarity in how to become an OG and what an OG should be doing, I think we're just missing the opportunity to get some really, really good people involved at the stage of a game. So that's one of my concerns. I've got loads of others, but I just wanted to be
I think
honest.
you got a good point there, Moody. Most definitely. That's why, I was always, I've been thinking recently that, is there some way or somehow that something can be implemented? I'm just shooting this off. This is hypothetical, and it probably will suck if it was put into action. But if there was some way that we could have some type of OG training or OG something besides just getting your OG role, and then
I think an application process.
Yes.
Give people the opportunity to say what they can bring to being an OG.
Right.
I think that because people will bring different things. And bear in mind, when this game goes live, I promise you, there'll be people in their lofts or in their garages who will be developing APIs, who will be developing plugins, who will be developing tools that the whole community will be using. That person will probably never, ever, ever, ever enter a Discord, but they have improved the quality of life of all the players.
Right.
Why shouldn't they get a level of recognition for that? So I think a really clear application process would be really useful.
I think something like that. And I don't know if we have just people dedicated to working with the OGs, like an OG master or an OG professor, or somebody who's like, this is how the implementation goes of you getting an OG, and let me help you and walk you through this process. I think it's gonna. I mean, if the game gets bigger, are we not going to allow OGs in, and it's just the ones that are in there now?
No, it'll have to keep growing as the game grows. You'll need more people on the front line as we got more people coming in.
Right.
I think the application could be a definitely good way to improve part of the process. But again, it's kind of my point that if you don't have time, then that's fine. You don't have time. Not everybody gets to take advantage of every opportunity. The point being, if you're going to be a member of the old guard, I feel like there is some due diligence that you need to do. So if kids take precedent, that's great. I mean, raise a great family.
Right. But is the old guard, is it just Discord? Is that it?
Well, that's the other point I wanted to make real quick too, is they might be able to expand it in the future. But right now, if you're not in the Discord, you cannot get a Discord role. And that's what it is. And that's how you mint on the site. So,
I understand that.
You're going to have to join Discord.
But
Fryler, sorry, just because you raised 2 points there, and I think we're talking about Discord. I just want to raise you on the first point. So about making a time, since I got OG, I created the time because I respected the role, and I created the time in my life to go into it head on. But so the kind of question I was asking earlier, if I wouldn't have been made OG, would I have been part of the founding of the Knights Guild? Would I have been, it's that barrier that, because with decisions, you'll change your level of effort you're going to put into something. And my level of effort drastically changed since I was an OG. So it's a balance between the level of effort before and the level of effort after. That's what I think we're missing an opportunity on.
Right. Well, I think, to be fair, you're kind of a unique case, and I don't see many people winning OG in the future. Again, I don't represent the team. Maybe they will have contests for that again in the future. But right now, there isn't anybody getting OG that isn't putting in massive effort. We have a few people with their hands up.
Hold on. Let me say one thing. Massive effort. I put in a ton of effort, but without talking with people in cornucopias all day long. I put in a ton of effort, more effort than a lot of people have, and it took me longer to get in. So I don't think we should limit it to the amount of effort. Come in 5-10 minutes a day. If you come in 5-10 minutes a day, I don't think that's going to make you OG. I don't think that's going to happen. Some of these people spend hours in there and hundreds of posts and thousands of posts.
Well, and to one of my points, again, there's going to be a lot of people that deserve it that don't get it. Not everyone can. It's kind of exclusive in that sense.
Well, don't you think if you deserve it
before you and took longer than you?
Well, don't you think?
But I never expected it.
Well, I know, but don't you think if you deserve it, you should get it?
It's a little bit of a conundrum. I think there's a lot of people that deserve it personally that don't have it currently.
But who measures that?
The team.
Right, but but how is it? But that's what I'm saying.
Well, and again, I think part of the reason why I thought this is going to be so hot is, again, I think that there's a ton of people that will exemplify being an OG that do deserve it. I've seen tons of people come in and go hard for 6 months and fall off the map and then never get OG.
Right.
So is that necessarily fair?
Well, there could be something implemented. I mean, this is why you and I decided to talk about this, because we were having that VC one night and trying to figure out what we're going to talk about, and then you're like, wait a minute, this is what we should talk about. We've been going back and forth on this for a half hour. So if just two of us can put our differences, as you know, into the pot and stew it all up, I'm sure that we can get a whole bunch of people.
We've actually got a lot of speakers up here too, so let's start getting through some of them.
Yeah,
Do you know who was up first, Meta or Scruffy?
I'm gonna go. Why don't Scruff, you say what you need to, because you already been up, and then we're gonna go into Meta, who had his hand up next. Okay, go ahead, Scruff.
All right, so I'm gonna have to start keeping a list of notes, because man, you guys hit 7 points I wanted to touch on. First, I wanted to go back to Moody's. As far as a system, and would he or wouldn't he have put in the effort if he hadn't have been OG? Again, I believe OG is a privilege, whether you win it, whether you're working hard, whether whatever. It's almost like the Hall of Fame, right? Not everybody gets into the Hall of Fame. There are some great football players that don't get into the Hall of Fame. The OG role is for kind of the best of the best. And, they let us know kind of the generalized qualifications, but it's unquantifiable. They're going to, every so often, admit a certain amount in. And when you guys were talking about the people that get it and kind of go away and then they're never heard from again, they have had several culling rounds where they cull down the number of OGs that aren't inactive. They even spoke recently on a Kopi Cafe episode about, possibly having some sort of form that people have to fill out every so often. And if they don't respond to that form, if they're not being active, that they will be removed. And I think that's a great idea. I think that helps solve the issue that you guys are talking about. And it helps make sure that the people in the OG role are the ones that are continuing to be active. So, and as far as, well, I guess I'll stop right there just because I want to let Meta get up here, but I'll hop back in after.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I'm wholehearted with you on that one. I think the team should put something together. I think the team should have an OG system that can't be. I don't want it to be like the Oscars, where you have one group of people decide that there's I don't want to make it a popularity contest per se, but a something else. It's hard to put your finger on, right? Because it's a flowing concept. This OG.
Real quick, as far as it being a popularity contest, I agree with you on that 100%. But under the current process, and again, I don't want to go into too much detail, but there are oversights where people can notify the powers that be, if you will, of who is deserving for OG. And then those people kind of get looked at and they go, okay, what is the basis that this person should receive OG? And then there's kind of a process where they look at and they're going, okay, we've got 5 slots open or something like that. Okay, now that we look at all the data, who are the 5 most deserving or whatever? So there are processes like that in place, kind of behind the scenes. For those who aren't already in OG, they may not see that, but those processes do exist.
Oh, excellent. All right, let's go on to Meta. Meta, go ahead and talk, and you're all set there, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Stein.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Stein. Yeah, I can just agree to everything that was said. All my friends here, and it's amazing. It's a very interesting topic. Just one thing I want to add, and Moody touched it already a little bit. It's about the language. So I could say there is a big group of people. No, I don't say it. I would have said they are discriminated, but it would sound too hard. So, but kind of disabled. Imagine all the people that are not speaking English as a native language, but try to follow all the messages, all the contents, be in Discord, to have their roles, using translation tools to follow on all platforms, and being as enthusiastic as people that are native speakers in English. And in other projects, not just gaming, not just blockchain, but in other projects, you see those language channels by regions and these things. We might say we are too early. We are not there yet, that we need something like that. But there are other important languages, and I don't take my own as an example, but I take, for example, Spanish. I heard one of my teachers say, if you are able to talk English and Spanish, you can talk to the whole world. So what about all these Spanish native speakers that are maybe too shy or not quick enough to chat in English all the day? What about other natives?
I think that's a huge point, and maybe one of the areas that we can improve in the most, because I agree with you 100%. There are so many other people in other countries that aren't native speakers that I feel like, yeah, we are a little bit English exclusive in that sense. That's not to say we did have a non-native speaker. He put in a crazy amount of work to become OG. I'm not going to name names, but I was glad to see it finally happen because, like you said, they're just as enthusiastic, and it takes more effort on their part. So, yeah, big hats off to anybody in another language-speaking community that's still putting in the effort.
Yeah.
And Freiler, just to piggyback off what you said, they do have multilingual mods. They have mods that are specifically for certain languages, and they're trying to grow those. And the mods do report back to the powers that be as far as who is deserving and worthy. So even though they may not see them in all the English speaking channels, the powers that be, they get notified. Hopefully the system is set up to where those mods that are moderating the Spanish channels, the German channels, the Japanese or Asian, Chinese channels, they report back, and hopefully the people still get seen in other languages.
Yeah, let's hope. We need to get Meta as the German mod up there. Which, by the way, while I have a second, just so you guys know, Meta just started his YouTube channel as well and could use some subs. So definitely go check him out. Is it all in German, Meta, or will you have some English content too?
Yeah, thanks, Frida. My mission is especially to localize all the content to the DACH region, so Switzerland, Austria, Germany. So I will start repeating all the English available content because that's the barrier. We are not reaching those potential gamers if they don't understand it properly, or if it takes more effort to understand it. And yeah, talking in marketing wording, we are ignoring big target groups. We are ignoring big potentials. I'm not talking about just Germany. And my mission is, to create awareness with the German community, trying to increase the German members in the Cornucopias server, and hopefully also in our guild.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to not be so polar on this one. Josh from Late Game Crypto is going to be doing one. He's with the Knights Guild. He's going to be. If you watched his latest video, he's going to be doing some in Japanese. I think coming up pretty quickly.
Wow.
So
I was gonna jump in. Can I pin that video because that is exactly the approach Josh has taken. Do you mind me pinning that video?
You can pin whenever you want to pin, man. I don't know how
because
to,
I think
I don't need if I got to give you access to pin. I don't understand.
No, I can do it, but it's Knights Guild focused. But that is my whole point about inclusivity. You know, the end game of Cornucopias is going to have way more like Southeast Asian players, for example, than what the language is today. So I'll pin that video. It's a really good video. Thank you.
And African players, don't forget about the
absolutely
mobile
and Chinese also. A lot of people are from China in the world, so it's potential. And imagine if we are making our discussions in our guild about who can do what, who has skills, experiences, in which area, how can we utilize this? So for sure, there are developers, there are content providers, there are a lot of people that could help the project in all these different languages or countries.
Yes, I actually have a wrote-in question here on my DM on my Discord because one of the members is traveling at the moment and is unable. The question is from IE Prague. Question for the Twitter space: is there a cap on the number of OG roles that can be awarded? For example, for every OG added, do they need to remove an OG? I don't know. Do they need to remove an OG? I don't think so.
It's not a cap. It's generally a percentage that they kind of like to stay around. So if there's 20,000 members in the Discord server, they have X percent. They try to have around X percentage or no more than X percentage. And then if they go to 40,000, that number doubles. They allow doubling roughly.
Oh.
So it's based on percentage.
Good. Is there any way or any place or is it on the Kopi wiki or anything like that about OG roles? I mean, I think that should be in the Kopi, the Cornucopias.
It's
somewhere.
I can bring it up, but I know it's mentioned in the Kopi wiki. I just can't quote it verbatim. Maybe while I'm looking that up real quick, Tizzy, you've been really patient and had your hand up for a while.
Real quick before Tizzy, I'm sorry, brother. Just real quick. I know a guy that did a video about Cornucopias roles and the OG role specifically. You might check it out on YouTube. I don't know.
Who's that?
Is it by Scruffy?
Who is it? You got to say who it is, Scruffy.
No, go check out my channel again.
Yeah.
I do break down the roles and all that stuff. It's one of my earlier videos, so I apologize. But go ahead, Tizzy. I know you've had your hand up forever, brother.
Why don't you pin that, if you can pin that video, Scruff?
Well, mic check. Can you guys hear me?
You're coming through. No,
coming through clear.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to add, you guys covered a lot of what I wanted to touch on, but I'll just add my testimony, kind of how I became like OG. I was new to Discord. Well, I came looking for the Kopi token. So I had to go through and learn Discord and was never on Twitter before. So, it was a learning process for me. And when I got into the Discord, it was the OG, it was the original Bubble Jet Mint. And, well, before I go into that, I would just say there's an opportunity too, I think, for the guilds to, kind of like the first rule of OG is we don't speak about OG, but, and I think people, there's an opportunity for us maybe in the guilds to come and maybe write out a statement on how to become an OG, like tips and tricks. And I want to maybe share some here today. But yeah, going back to my original point, like I came on Discord, I was totally lost. Discord's a whole new language to me. I came across the post from an old OG, and he wrote down some tips and tricks, and I began, because I didn't take it seriously at first. I just came to like crap post and have fun, and but then I began to take it seriously, and the way I became and started doing it, because anyway, there's like little tips and tricks. There's a search bar in Discord where you could type in any subject, or you could look up a certain person. So something I would do to become an OG would be I would look, if I didn't know the answer to a question, I would find it. It might take me 5-10 minutes, and I might not even be able to answer that person's question, but I would know it for the next time. So I'd search and look for, and learn and be able to answer people's questions. But you can also type in like Matt, he's the NFT manager. Type in his name, you could see all the daily updates and, to make sure that you're giving correct information to the people that are coming on board. People will look at your comments. So even though someone answers a question, still answer the question along with them, because when they go to look at the OG history, they'll look through your comments and through your history, and they'll see the statements of people helping out and things of that nature. So I think there's an opportunity for the guilds to kind of write out something like a mission statement and, share little tips and tricks with people.
I want
Great
to.
tips, Tizzy.
Real
quick, Stein. Actually, I pulled up the Old Guard Discord roles on the Kopi Wiki, and it is a little bit more informative than the Cornucopias Discord server. So unless you have something really pertinent, I just want to add that real quick because it seemed like it went well with what Tizzy was saying.
Yeah, I mean, did you want to read the
So-
whole thing, or what are we doing?
No, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to touch on a few key points. People keep saying that they would like more details around the Old Guard role, and they're actually being provided on the Kopi Wiki for people to go and look. So they do say that the role started for just the original members, anybody that joined before October 13th, but later it became apparent that the role had to evolve and so on and so forth. And so they mention, YouTube channels with regular content, Telegram channels, Instagram, Twitter, any other channels that produce regular content, and they give you just, like I said, a little bit better of a definition and kind of some more guidelines. Not exactly like some, tips and tricks like Tizzy was talking about. I think I've seen that before, if I'm giving credit where credit is due, in the Knights Guild. I believe they do have a tips and tricks written up. So it could be useful for the guilds to help inform on that. But yeah, I just want to let people know that is in the Kopi Wiki.
Yeah, and I wanted to, if I find that I think people are deserving to be OG, because it's a hard thing to get around. So I'm in the Corn Mafia Guild all day long, and I see people who post a lot on Twitter about Cornucopias and obviously do videos and things like this. And I may think to myself, they deserve the OG role. But if I say they deserve the OG role, it's only coming from the Corn Mafia Guild. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, if there was a way of me helping people move on, or if there's a way to tell people, all the way that I'm going to be, the only thing I'm going to be able to tell them is I think these people should be doing it, but they're all from the Corn Mafia Guild. So I guess I have a bias, because if I was to say that anybody would deserve the OG role, it would just be coming from the Corn Mafia Guild, from me personally. I don't know if I put my point across correctly. Well, I was trying to swing around without saying too much, but it's very one-sided for me, because I am just in Corn Mafia Guild most of the time, trying to help people and trying to do the best I can to promote cornucopias from inside the guild. And I think that's one thing that we're missing, is that the guilds promote cornucopias by being a guild. And I think Moody would have probably something to say on that too. But, if I'm helping the guild become stronger, am I not helping cornucopias become stronger as well? And if the people in my guild are helping cornucopias by helping the guild, I mean, I know there's ranks and roles in each guild to move up, but that's still leaving out some really helpful people that I think should deserve an OG role. But that's just me.
And it does take a village. It takes everyone looking out. But one thing I'll point out is that if you go in the Cornucopias Discord and you start talking, and you see the sea of OGs in there talking, how many of them are not delegated to a guild right now?
I don't know.
Most of the most
go in
active
and
people are.
So
for the person that posts Twitter posts that feels like they're not getting recognized, what's stopping you from taking that link and posting it in the Twitter raid channel and trying to get noticed?
Will that get you noticed?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't expect someone to be surfing the internet all day looking for Cornucopias posts. Even if you tag the team, they're busy all day. I can't expect Steve sees everything I see, even though we have one of the most supportive communities around. Everyone's busy. You know what I mean? So I think you got to do what you got to do if you're really working for it and make yourself known.
Well, see, this is where you and I differ, man. I mean, I'm going to get in a fight with you after this, Friday. You and I are no longer friends.
Well, when you look at the attendance, everyone's looking at the Old Guard from the perspective of I want. And I get that. Everyone wants it. It's out here. You think just because you support for a long time or because you've held for a long time, you deserve it. And my opinion is no. Let's look at the intent. They want you here as the front line, answering questions, being a positive influence in the community,
so that's
making content, spreading the word. I don't know what your point is about the guild. I think they're including them. You made it by being a member of the guild. So you mute your own point in that essence right there. So
no, that wasn't the point I was trying to get across.
I got 100 from Scruffy. I'm correct.
Well, okay. Well, that's scruffy. But what I'm saying is, if I'm trying to, if I say, okay, say I said, okay, I want so many of these people to become OG because I think they're really good, then some people are going to say, well, yeah, that's because you're in the Corn Mafia Guild and you want these people because they're in the Corn Mafia Guild.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
right?
it could be seen.
You don't get to pick who makes Old Guard no matter what.
Well, I don't know who does. Who does?
I don't think they have a face. I think it's just generally the team.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I can chime in on this real quick to settle that, it really comes down, the ultimate two decision makers are Matt and Steve. I mean, that's where the final buck stops, right? There, like I said, there are mechanisms for bringing people to their attention, but at the end of the day, it's those two.
Okay. Well,
thank you, Scruffy.
I like the way you said mechanisms to bring it to their attention. So if I was to use these mechanisms to bring it to their attention, and all the people that I used in this mechanized situation are from the Corn Mafia Guild. This is all I'm saying. It has nothing really to do with me. It just
did. You just used those mechanisms. I saw it.
Well,
and guess what? They are being looked into. They are being noticed. Like you,
right? But
you said,
but there was the mechanisms did have a pushback because of the people that I used the mechanisms for were all from my guild.
I don't think it was for the people you used
the
the mechanisms for. I read it. It was for language use, I think.
And there does need to be some oversight, right? We can't just have prominent members coming in saying this person should get it, that person should get it, and then they just get it. You need some checks and balances, and you need people to take a look at it and go, is this person deserving? Because in that last one, again, I'm not going to name any names, but there was somebody that I'll say has been very active. However, it was not necessarily in the spirit of what the OGs are and what they are wanting to cultivate as a community. And so several have been looked into and researched, and it's like, okay, yes, this is what we're looking for. And a few, or at least one that I know of in particular, is like, these are the reasons that we're not sure that they fit the mold of what we're looking for an OG. So I just believe that there does have to be some sort of system, like you said. Otherwise, it becomes a popularity contest.
Well, I want to be a Jedi too. I want to be a Jedi.
And I think it's important to point out that just because somebody that you think deserves to become OG doesn't, it's not necessarily a slight on anybody.
No.
I'll use my own example. When I was raised to OG, I felt immediately like there's 10 people I can think of right now that I felt like really deserved it, maybe more than me, And I'm not going to refuse the role because of that. I did work hard for it, but that means that there was one spot available and there was way more than one person that fit the role. So again, I just draw back to my old point that there's always going to be some hurt.
I just want to make sure that what I'm trying to say is coming across. I don't care if they choose, if I put in, if I use the mechanism to say put in 3 or 4 people that I think, and they don't pick them, that's fine. I don't care. I just don't want the kickback of saying, well, everybody, you're just using these mechanisms to promote your guild. That's just
a fact of life, though.
Well, yeah,
people,
but
people are going to scrutinize what you do no matter what.
I know.
So,
well, I understand that, but that kind of like, geez, I had a really long and heated outside discussion about things, and it was like, hey, listen, you're telling me this is how the discussion went without putting any names. You think that I'm a very good OG and you respect me and all this stuff, correct? And they were like, yes, correct. I said, well, then I'm just saying that these are the people that I think are good. So respect my input That's all, you know. And I think that needs to be. I think that you know, the whole thing about guilds, you know, just promoting people from your guild. That I think that personally, whether if this is just a personal thing between people and not the higher ups who are going to decide OG, I think that needs to be tampered down quite a bit. Go ahead, Moody.
This is the first Twitter space I've been in. I've got a pen and paper here, and I'm writing down so many points.
Right?
This is fascinating. I love this, guys. Can you imagine, right, when they start releasing information on real on the economy and data streams and stuff like that? Geez, crikey. No, right. So first of all, there's a bit of a disclaimer again. So I have pinned that video that Josh, Late That Game Crypto, did do on very recently, and it is very pro knights. So I ask you all, ignore the pro knights, but hear the message he is saying. Right, that is really, really important for the development of the game. So I'm telling you now, ignore the knights in that video. Listen to the message. And then the 3 points I do want to raise from what I've just heard in the last few minutes. I agree 100%. I think the guilds have got so much responsibility, and I think as the game evolves, as the community evolves, I think the guilds will have to take on more responsibility and lead by example, not just in ethics, in behavior. You know, in really, you know, we've got a lot of responsibility there. My second point is about inclusivity. We've spoken a lot about language. And we've mentioned the 2 final says, and I love Matt and Steve. You all know I love them both, but they're 2 white guys. You know, why haven't we got why haven't we got a woman in that final say? Why haven't we got someone from Southeast Asia in that final say? Just to remove any unconscious bias. And I'm not for 1 second saying there is any unconscious bias, but from an outside point of view looking in, I think that could be a bit more of a diverse decision making of people. So, and please, again, I'm not making any accusations. I love what they do, but from an outside point of view looking in, I think it could be a bit more diverse. And my third point is, if I was told now, Moody, go and burn your OG bubble jet, and you're not getting another benefit from being an OG for the next 5 years, I'd go and do it. I do OG because I'm so passionate about the community. I'm so passionate about the game. How many people would take the OG role if they didn't get any benefits? You know, that is a real test. So they're just 3 of probably about 15 things I've written down. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Real quick before we get too far too, there's been a lot of great suggestions. I just want to remind people that even though this isn't necessarily a forum for trying to change things in Cornucopias, there is a suggestions channel there. I'd like to see some of these great suggestions end up there too if you guys have a moment later or if you feel it was worthwhile.
Thanks, Ryler. Thanks. Yeah, I think, geez, you know, there's a lot of good things. And whether this space changes anything or not, maybe it'll just help us burn off a little mental energy. If anybody has any, you know, any built up anger or tension or anything like that, but I hope that doesn't come across that way. Yeah, let's see if we can. Is there anybody else that has raised their hand? Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Yeah.
Eric just went up.
Yeah, man.
Wait, real quick. I just this
interrupting everyone.
I know, and I'm sorry, but I thought he was going to call on me because my hand was up. Just real quick, does anybody know how I pin the something in here? I don't know how to do it. I'm not a
right, Scruffy. Go to the link you want to pin.
Okay.
In the bottom right hand corner of the link you want to pin. Click the little share thing, which looks like a bucket with an arrow up. And it will say share in Core Mafia Twitter space. Yeah.
Oh, but it has to be. Does it have to be a Twitter link?
It can be. I think it can be a yeah, that's because I've just had to retweet Josh's video so I could share it and pin it in here. So retweet it.
I'll do
and
that.
Then, yeah,
okay.
Good man.
Thanks,
Thank you. Go ahead, Eric. That's it.
Go ahead, Eric. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. How's everybody doing today?
Good, man. Good.
Good.
Doing
Good.
great, man. Good to see you.
You too. You too. I just wanted to chime in about my journey, becoming an OG. It's just from the perspective of how I was raised, basically, it's nice to be nice, and community. For me, the Discord became and is like more community for me in terms of my interaction with everyone in the community and in the Corn Mafia Guild. And the reason why it means a lot to me is because when I was starting to interact in the Discord a lot, I lost some very close members of my personal family, of my family, and the way that the community, reached out in just kind words, it became more to me than just having a role to get a NFT. And that's it. I'm just speaking of myself, So it became more than that. I know to many it's not more than that, but to some of us who are in there a lot, you forge relationships with people that are beyond just the everyday business part or the game. Even when we went to CNFT Con, and you got to actually face to face meet people, sit down and have dinner with people as a part of this community, it becomes bigger than just NFTs in the game. And I got to ride in an Uber with Scruffy, for Christ's sakes. It was it's more of a community thing for me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of what the team has mixed in, as well as what they are looking for, people who are looking to create community as well. So that's all I wanted to just chime in and say.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, Eric.
I
I
really
just want to add on that real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, I wanted to add before I forget and totally just, are critical the whole time that despite, I know that there's almost a monetary incentive when you include the value of the NFT and the tier bonus that you get for being the OG, of course. But one of the things that it's been most beneficial in is doing exactly what Eric just spoke about, which is building an incredibly passionate and caring community. So despite the fact that you are going to get some people who only come in because they want to mint the best stuff first and because they want a free vehicle and they don't care about the project, we're still getting a lot more, I feel like, of those genuine people who are building genuine connections. And, I think it's kind of weird to say, but I'm like a 30-year-old man. I've got the least amount of in real life friends I've ever had in my life, but I feel like I've got the most amount of friends I've ever had because I genuinely have great connections with so many of you guys. And it starts there in the Cornucopias Discord server. So thank you for sharing, Eric.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. Same way. Except I'm 20 years older than you. So that's even more sad.
Yeah, but it's interesting how as you get older, right? It's interesting how you get older and you get fewer friends in real life. And just recently I say recently, God, this is going to date me, but with the invention of the internet, because our lives get so much more hectic. People get married, people have kids, people do whatever. But with the invention of the internet, being able to connect at your point in time that you have available in between diaper changes or bottle feedings or honey-do lists and things like that, it's just great that we can kind of do it on our schedule. And we've got a platform that 24 hours a day, whether it's 2:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning, you can reach out and hang out with people that are all over the world. And I just want to sit there and marvel at that for a second, because like you guys said, I might have 3, 4, 5 real, solid friends in real life, but I walk into, the guild and I'm like, oh my God, I got 600 or 700 friends. And then I walk in and I'm like, wait a minute, I've got, in another guild, there's another 700 friends, and I go into Cornucopias General, and my God, I got 40,000 friends. So it is truly something to behold. And I realize that's not necessarily on the OG discussion, but I think others that realize that and feel that way will want to contribute regardless of OG role. And I think eventually they'll be rewarded. One last quick thing I wanted to pop in and say is that let's not forget, it's not like a one and done with the OG. Going back to my Hall of Fame reference, there's a lot of people that get into the Hall of Fame that don't get in the first ballot. They don't get in the very first time. It might take 2 or 3 times, but eventually they do get noticed. And I've seen lots of people in here where you're going, oh man, they easily could have been selected. And yeah, they didn't make it this time, but they'll be at the top of the list next time. And then sure enough, the very next time, they're one of the first ones announced. So again, there's no perfect system out there. One last thing that I wanted to think about is a lot of us are sitting here saying, our own personal experiences, and that's natural, right? Just because we've lived them, that's what's important to us and things like that. But I think it's also very important to realize that a system has to accommodate everybody else. So I try to always go, okay, yes, this is my personal experience. These are the personal experiences of people that I know, but it's damn hard to get a system in there that really truly works for everyone. And sometimes you got to do the best system you can and know that it's not perfect. But the thing I like is they've been making tweaks along the way. Like I said, I think more and more people are getting noticed outside of the traditional way. And I think that's a good thing.
Excellent. Thank you, Scruff. Always good to hear your input on anything. Yeah, man. So I think, what we're, man, listening to Eric and, and to you and everybody talk about, community and all that stuff. That's how I feel. You all know that's how I feel, because I spend so much of my time working with the Corn Mafia Guild, and a lot of you I consider really good friends, even though I've never met. So, it's always good to be able to, when I have something wrong with technology, I can just be like, Scruff, what are you doing? It's 2 a.m. I know, but I have problems. I'm having problems. You gotta wake up, man, So.
Well, and that's what it's for. But yeah I mean, I'm kind of curious, just to kind of bring it back to the whole, what you labeled it as the OG paradox, and Freiler kind of almost disagreed that it's a paradox, and I kind of do as well. Like you mentioned that one of the rules is that you can't ask to be an OG, and essentially what that's saying is, look, don't bug us. Don't call us, we'll call you. We'll monitor this and we'll do that. But I'm curious if anybody has any ideas on how to augment the system, how to make it better, because as they've stated many times before, you're not going to get it right necessarily the first time out. Looks like Moody's got something. I'll turn off my mic and.
Yeah, let me say one thing, Moody, before you jump up here, man. Sorry to cut you off, Mood. That's why we're having this Twitter Space discussion. And the reason I did use paradox is because Freiler and I were trying to come up with a catchy, clicky baity kind of thing, and I decided to come up with paradox. And by putting that in through ChatGPT, does this make it? Yes, it's a paradox. So that's why I used the name paradox. We were going to come up with conundrum.
Some more background. During our brainstorming session, we had moved away from paradox, and then next thing I know, he'd email me, "Hey, here's the title," and I had paradox in it again.
Yeah, well,
I had a good laugh.
I just like the word paradox. It was better than conundrum, because I have to make sure I can fit it in there with so many words, because I have to be able to promote Stein and Freiler. I could have just.
I'm glad I made it here this time.
Yeah, I could have used conundrum and then just put Stein, but I felt
with Stein and the boy.
All right,
or you could have done Stryler. You could have combined your names and done Stryler. I was just going to answer Scruffy about what we could do. So I think clarity, right? I think something needs to be written down. right? The second point is I personally don't like the idea that don't bug us, we'll watch you. They haven't got the time and the capacity to actually watch people. So I think there needs to almost be, when we write something down, it gives everyone clear, and I don't know what it means. I don't know whether it's going to be 20 bullet points or a checklist or whatever. I don't care. But writing something down is a good start because everyone is starting from the same place. And then I think it needs to be open. I think we do need to have people to apply for it. And I think we need to hear what they can bring to the community.
So,
can I ask you real quick about the application? My only concern with that, even though I feel like it's a great idea, it lets people declare their intent at least, is that setting them up for thinking that you can accomplish A, B, and C, and that's going to equate the OG role, you know? Is there some concern there?
I think you need something there. I think you need something like, you know, when did you join? How long have you been here? You know, how many things have you this, and can you do that?
I would prefer to look forward, right? If you were an OG, tell us what you'd do. Because somebody might have just picked up this project in the last week, and that individual might be an absolute brilliant gamer who is sat in the traditional MMO world as a leader of a guild of 50,000 people. And that individual might say, hey, I'm doing a PhD in transferring traditional gaming into blockchain. Right? That is a valuable kind of like person to bring in as an OG because they will bring something. I think we need to look forward more. But if we drew a line, or if the ratio of investors to gamers today is probably about 90 to 10, right? We've got to get that ratio to 10 to 90. We need this space absolutely full of gamers. Gamers don't give a shit about NFTs. Gamers don't give a shit about OGs. Gamers don't give a shit about blockchain, right? We need to start looking forward and getting people in this space who get gaming, right? And that's why an application process, hey, I'm from X and X guild, or I'm a developer, I build add-ons for X and X game. I want to come and join the Cornucopias because I really get your culture and your behavior and your values and your visions. This is what I can bring. I would much rather an OG community. And obviously put a 3-month period in there. After 3 months, you have to go back and you have to demonstrate you've done what you said you do. Write something down. Don't be so prescriptive on Discord posts or YouTube posts, but give people the opportunity to tell us what they can bring. And I don't like the fact that there's 2 people who the decision falls on. I think there should almost be a panel created, be it made up of OGs and the team. But definitely that panel should not be a group of white, British, and American men. It should be a diverse group that is looking at the whole longevity of this game. That's
two things real quick. Yeah, 2 things real quick. One, I can't even imagine right now, much less later on as the game grows, their ability to review every application and read all of those things. We have a hard enough time with onboarding people into the guilds. And when you're talking about there's 40,000 people in the guild, and let's face it, every single one of them wants to be OG, right? Whoever's in there and whoever's active wants it. There's nobody that be like, okay, we're going to give you OG. And they're like, nah, that's cool, man. I'm just give it to somebody else. I don't want it. So they know every single person wants it, for one. For two, those people that are doing those things that you talked about submitting a application and then maybe 3 months later them going back and reviewing that and saying, did they follow through on all the things and did they contribute and all that? Well, essentially, when they build those things or when they do those things on those other channels and other avenues, they're working hard to try and see that moving forward. So I hear what you're saying, and I very, very respectfully see it just a little bit differently in the fact that people can come in and say, hey, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Everybody can do stuff, but which ones actually do it and follow through? And I know you talked about the review process, but that's a lot on their plate to keep up with.
Why is it on their plate? My point is, why is it on their plate? Right, we've already got a community of 40,000 people, right? Writing down some rules and proceed, just a simple process. Identify a couple of the members of this community who are totally and utterly committed, who are doing it for all of the great reasons that Stein and Eric said, right? And delegate it to them, right? They don't need to do it.
Well, so on that point of the more diverse panel, I think, of course, I don't really have anything to contend that. I think they could. I think we should, no offense to Scruffy, maybe he does have some inside knowledge and he can correct me after this, but I don't want to get too caught up on thinking that it's just Matt and Steve without hearing from the team officially that, that is the end all be all. I feel like we do have a pretty diverse team from all around the world. I'm not sure what all nationalities are represented there. But I think, obviously a little bit more diversity on the part of the electors could be a good thing. But I do want to bring it back to the application process. I think I disagree on that one as well. I think that actions speak louder than words. Anybody can come in here and say, hey, I'll do this if you'll pay me. It's a lot harder to go and put in the work for a year like I did and make 8 YouTube videos for no money and never expect it. You know what I mean? And then you're really getting people who want to be here. And not, like you said, the people that are only coming for that payday. Hey, how can you help me? You know what I mean?
Also, real quick, I want to be clear that I'm all I was saying, there are a lot of people that have input, and some people's input way more, right? The rest of the team, if Rob or if Josh or somebody like that pops in and says, hey, this person should be OG, let's face it, that it happens. And for all I know, other team members as well. I know the moderators chime in a lot because they're on the front lines, right? They're in there every single day, seeing who's posting, seeing who's acting, the role of an OG and things like that. So I don't want to make it sound like it's a unilateral decision by 2 people. I think you guys have got, the end all be all. Yes, they kind of circle the wagons and talk, but everybody has, they're, like I said, the whole team, I think, has some input to who gets it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just to be clear, and just to repeat what I said, because again, I don't want to sound a bit like a dick. I totally am not insinuating anything with what I'm saying. I'm just saying, from an outside point of view, looking in, it does it look like somebody is going to have a fair chance. And we know the state of this world, and we know what, all of the challenges we've got about, race and about gender and all of that. And all I'm saying is it could that kind of outside point of view looking in could put people off from putting the effort in. That's all I'm saying. I'm not insinuating anything.
Right.
I got to say real quick too that I feel like the team, despite maybe not being as culturally diverse as somebody might like, I don't feel like there's ever been an instance where somebody was unfairly represented. I don't know if that was your whole point you were trying to say, but when you said it was unfair, I don't feel like that's a fair characterization because we have women, we have people of other languages and other nationalities of all different cultures that have made OG.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say, what he's just trying to say is from a perspective point of view, not what is really going on, but from a perspective point of view.
It might put off a certain type of person from even putting in the effort. That's all I'm saying. Just from an outside point of view looking in. I'm not insinuating anything, I promise you all.
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand that. I understand that. It's just well, from it's just looking in the store window. That's right. That's all it is.
For the people who might listen in the future, I know a lot of us are really familiar with everything that's going on, but somebody else listening might not. So I didn't want them to think, wow, Cornucopias does not represent other people well. I just didn't want that to be the takeaway.
No, that's, well, this is an internal discussion we're having right now. And it is for prosperity. But, I do understand what he's saying. And I do agree with that. Not saying that it's not diverse. Just saying from a perspective point of view. That's all.
Yeah, it's important to be diverse.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's that. I just think he was just trying to clarify, because he doesn't want to come off sounding like they're not doing that. He's just saying it's just from a perspective point of view. And
Yep, absolutely.
I want everybody to understand that it's not that's what he's saying is they're not diverse. He's just saying they may not look so when you're looking in from outside on the street. So but
that kind of calls back to Scruffy's point of of nothing's perfect yet, but they do make improvements, and I know they listen. So it's all good conversation. Appreciate it, Moody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everybody here is always welcome to share their point of view. We do have 10 minutes left.
Actually, I was going to say we have 2 hands up and not a lot of time. Should we let them?
Yeah, go ahead. Whoever has their hand up, please speak now.
Okay, I'll just go real quick. I just want to say that, as us as OGs, there's things that, we'd like to see changed, and, we should, look at ourselves also and make sure that we're coming alongside people, encouraging them, giving them info or, sharing how, the process works. Like I said, Discord was a whole new language to me. I didn't understand the roles. I didn't know who the team members were, things of that nature. But, there's people out there at the core essence of it. It's all about helping. And the team has a vision. I really like the vision of it for the future with the badges where, if someone is good with, wallets or using the bridge, they'll be certified and someone can come there and get, real correct info. And so, and we can also nominate people, let us take the time to, go nominate people or suggest it or, we're the eyes and ears so we can, if people are not maybe being recognized, we can be the ones to help recognize them and, show them to the team. That's all I want to say is.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, I want to, all of us in here who are OGs really appreciate the fact that we are OGs and we are in this Twitter space, taking up valuable time in our in our day. So I think we should all give ourselves a little bit of round of applause for even being here to discuss this. And we're not putting down anything that the Cornucopias team is doing. That was not the point of this discussion. And I don't think we ever touched on that they're not doing enough. I think we're just discussing what they can maybe do in the future to help out the process. And that's, if they're going to listen to this Twitter space, it is only constructive criticism at the most. It is not anything but that. And I just like to put that across to the team and the leadership at the Cornucopias business that they're having the Cornucopias games, that we are all genuinely pleased at being OGs, and we do our best to stand up to that role. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just wanting to mention, piggyback off of what Tizzy was saying too, that maybe down the line, the gamification of education that's on the roadmap could probably be leveraged in choosing OGs in the future, maybe. Like, I don't know how they're exactly going to do it, but, have a certain number of badges or whatever, and then the application process. I'm just throwing out ideas that were just coming to me as we were talking. Maybe that could be leveraged, in the future. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's especially with Josh has spoken a lot about how they plan to, do like the University of Cornucopias or whatever they end up calling it and stuff, and having badges in the Discord so people can prove that they've learned stuff, which is a big part of being an OG, right? Is knowing the information and being able to relay it. Sorry, Scruffy, go for it. I had to cut you off at least once.
No, that's cool, dude. Hey, dude, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That is for sure. No, I would. That's how. That's one of the reasons I had my hand raised is to touch on that, and you guys both said it well, so I won't go back over it. But 100% agree with everything you guys both said, and I do believe that will be the case. The final thing that I would like to say, hopefully it's the final. I'm sure you guys are tired of my ramblings now, but let's also remember, they generally speaking, the team has a very democratic process. And so all of these ideas that we're throwing out here, if you think that it might be something that's good, that can help the game, by all means, go post them in the OG channel if you're already an OG. If you're not, post them in channels. Let them see these ideas. And if they have merit, not everybody's idea is going to be accepted. But we have seen them change things based on things that people have said in the past. Heck, they've put off mints just because of the way the community feels. So I urge every single one of you guys have had some great ideas. And if you guys think you have something to put forth to them, by all means do so. Get other people pounding the drum if they agree with it. And I believe change will be effected.
Thanks, Scruff. Yeah, we're going to start winding down the show now. It's been almost 90 minutes. I don't want people to leave yet because there's a little something on the end. But, yeah, we all love, or I love, but I think whoever's here in this Twitter space, and that is an OG, like I said, we all love Cornucopias, and we love the team and what they do. And we don't want to distract from that. But one of the reasons that I think this Twitter space is important is because we finally kind of got together and were able to speak out loud about the OG role, right? It's kind of like, it is kind of like Fight Club, but it's not really, because you can talk about the OG role. You just can't ask to become an OG. So in that respect, I just want the team to know, and I hope they listen to this, because I think this is this the first open discussion about OG roles? I'm not sure if it is, but I think it may be, and I think it's a very important subject for them to continue to listen to listen to the people who are in Cornucopias, which they do, and like Scruffy said, it is something that they do all the time. So I hope they listen to this.
Well, and we just to point out, we do have a couple of mods in here.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of mods in here, and I got news. Things do trickle throughout the team, and so whether or not they've listened to it, and I know Rob oftentimes goes back and listens to things. He's super active. He watches all of our videos. He checks out Twitter Spaces. He may not have time at this second to be in here live, but they are very much aware of the things that we are doing as a community as a whole, regardless of guild affiliation or not. And so I think you can rest assured that one way or another, some of these ideas will get back to them.
Thanks, Scruff. I'm going to button up this show now. We have 1 minute left, and I want to play you a little message from our sponsor. No, I'm going to play a little message. Thanks, everybody.
This has been a Corn Mafia Guild Twitter Space with your hosts, Stein and Freiler. Please join us every Wednesday at the same time, 5 p.m. UTC. We would like to thank all of our guests for their insights and input on today's topics. We also would like to thank all of you, our listeners, for taking time out from your busy day to join us. A full audio version of this conversation will be provided on our YouTube channel. You can find out more about the Corn Mafia Guild at our website, cornmafiaguild.io. So, until next week, thank you again, and have a great day.